Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as the case may be. This is ShinDo. Today I would like to discuss Buddhist koans, specifically the Buddhist koan, simply called Mu, M-U. Koans are sort of little riddles that are used in Rinzai school of Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. During meditation practice, the monks, or the laymen today, will use these koans to clear their mind. A very well-known koan is, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, the answer to that is no, it does not make a sound. Another koan is, what is the sound of one hand clapping? These are things that the Rinzai school, now I was given my name, ShinDo, as part of the ceremony called the Jukai Tukudo, which is an initiation ceremony that you don't have to take as a Zen Buddhist, but I wanted to take it, and I wanted to take the vows that I now am abiding by, vows taken to you, to all sentience. I was initiated into Soto Zen, and that is still what I practice, although the Zen center that I still attend infrequently is now practicing Rinzai Buddhism. It's really not a major difference. Rinzai, however, do use koans to help clear their mind as they meditate. I don't use koans. I simply count my breaths, which is what Soto Zen does, and it's what I've gotten used to, so it's what I continue to do. But the small difference, couple of differences between Soto and Rinzai is they're very minor differences. But one of the differences is that Rinzai keeps koans. Now, as I say, a koan is used to clear the mind. Probably the best known among Zen Buddhists is the one I will be discussing today. I know doing these videos, and I'm going to direct many of my videos towards the Buddhist path. I do realize that many of you who are subscribers to Lucy and I may not be particularly interested in Buddhism, and that's fine. So I realize that this may not be more of my popular videos, but I also believe that I need to discuss more about my particular path that is separate but not contrary to that of Lucy's path. Buddhism is a path that appeals to people who don't look at abstract notions as concrete entities. God is not outside of us, God is within us. It appeals to people who are generally atheist and who want a spiritual outlet. As you know, I do not look at God as something separate and distinct from myself or you, but I do firmly believe and acknowledge, understand this oneness, that we are all part of the same. This oneness idea tends to be something that causes problems with many people. Even Lucy, who has a distinct and unique personality of her own, has trouble with the concept of oneness. You do not lose your individuality by believing in this oneness. I digress a little. I do want to talk about this mu, but the object of, in particular, Zen Buddhism, is to get into an understanding of what this oneness means, and one of the ways of doing this is by practicing meditation and meditating on koans. Now, the koan called mu. There are stories behind, there are so many Buddhist stories that are used to give people insight into their own Buddha nature. We all possess that Buddha nature, also called the Christ consciousness. It is within us, and that is within all sentient beings. So, although you may look at other people as your enemy, I am telling you, we are all one. Even when I speak against the people who consider me, at least, their enemy, I am only doing so to help balance our karma, the great balance of the universe. But let's get into the koan mu. This koan is the most famous koan that Zen uses today. If you are a Zen Buddhist, you know that this koan mu, this is Zen 101. The story behind it: Joshu, a man who lived from 778 to 897 AD, a famous Chinese Zen master. They call Zen in China, which is where Zen comes from. Zen, by the way, is a combination of Taoism and Buddhism, Buddhism coming from India and Taoism coming from China. So it was originally called Chen. We call it Zen because it's the Japanese sort of equivalent of Chen. Famous Chinese Zen master Joshu, who lived in the province in which he took his name from. One day, a troubled monk approached him, intending to ask the master for guidance. A dog walked by. The monk asked Joshu, quote, "Has the dog a Buddha nature or not?" Unquote. The monk had barely completed his question when Joshu shouted, "Mu!" The character for mu literally means nothing. Joshu's answer was quite simply nothing, which was not to say the dog lacks the Buddha nature. Naturally, both Joshu and the monk knew the Buddha nature is inherent in all creatures without exception, which is why Joshu's mu should never be interpreted as a denial of this fact. Oftentimes, the responses that are given by Zen masters are completely contrary to what you would think a Zen master would say. There is a famous Zen saying that goes, "If you see the Buddha in the road, kill him." Now this simply means that the Buddha nature is within you, and you don't need to rely upon another. But it's used in such a dramatic and contrary, because Buddhists don't kill, way that it gives that Zen that Zen void, the stillness and quiet that comes from so many things. You would chant At the Zendo, one of the chants is, sentient beings are numberless. I vow to count them all. It's always this thing that seems to be a contradiction on the surface. So here we have Mu, where the purpose of the response is to break this monk of rational thinking and try to understand the truth of Zen, and to get him to understand a reality beyond affirmation and negation, in which all contradictions disappear on their own. This is the essence of Zen, that we move beyond ourselves. We move beyond black and white. We move beyond friend and enemy. We move to a place that is beyond that. We transcend this existence, which is the intention of this koan, to get that stillness, that quiet, that void that transcends this material conscious existence. Joshua's Mu is neither a yes or a no. It is an answer that surpasses the opposition of yes and no, and directly points to the Buddha nature, to the reality beyond yes or no, beyond white or black, beyond good or evil. I have been put in a box so many times. Are my teachings, I'm going to just talk about myself and not Lucy, are my teachings good or evil? They're not good or evil. What I am trying to do is transcend that, learning to transcend our own reality. This is what meditation is about. In order to contemplate this koan, Mu, you must know the meaning of Mu. It is a negative symbol, meaning no thing or nay. The sensei, the Rashi, the teacher, Joshua, comments concerning this koan, cautions the student not to believe that Mu is the common negative symbol meaning nothing. He tells the student to concentrate the whole energy into this Mu. Here I'm reading from a book that I am rereading. It's called The Magic of Zen, and I will probably be doing a few videos about this. Here it's referencing the man named Mumonkan, who was a Zen master who first used this koan. Muman, it says here, concluded his comments on the koan with this poem. Has a dog a Buddha nature? This is the most serious question of all. If you say yes or no, you lose your own Buddha nature. As with Zen, it's more important for you to reflect on what that means than for me to simply give you the answer. Zen is a very existential, a very mystical understanding. It transcends the things that we call good or evil. Those terms are virtually meaningless to me. And classifying me as such, or my teachings as good or evil, are meaningless to me. Because the essence of what I am trying to do is trying to get people to transcend that understanding. And this koan is the perfect example of how to do that. Transcend those things, the negative and the positive, and meditate on the word Mu, Mu, and understand, as the Zen teacher says, if you recognize that the answer to does the dog have the Buddha nature, if you recognize that answer to be yes or no, you yourself have lost your Buddha nature, your Christ consciousness, and what that means. This is ShinDo. Good day, good evening, as the case may be. Back soon with more Zen videos.